Matt here with Halloween Daily News, here to interrupt your regularly scheduled programming here on this Wednesday afternoon because we've got our first look at our brand new Munsters today in the form of a teaser trailer released for Rob Zombie's upcoming feature film relaunch of the iconic franchise, The Munsters. Obviously, one of the first families of horror, not the first exactly, but definitely one of the first and one of the greatest, most iconic franchises in genre entertainment, if you ask me, anyway. And one of those shows that so many of us grew up watching in syndication for decades after its initial two-season run. It only ran for two seasons, starting in 1964, and 70 episodes though in those two seasons. That's the way they did it back then. And all of those episodes, by the way, are currently for free on Peacock. I'm kind of doing a rewatch binge this month because at the end of this month they go away, or they move to Peacock Premium, I should say. And so if you don't have the paid version of Peacock, you can binge all 70 of them right now, like I'm doing. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little breakdown of this teaser trailer, and it is essentially a recreation. I mean, this is something I was hoping Rob might do, and he did it. It is a recreation of the opening credits sequence from the 1960s series. It's from the opening credits of season 2 of the series, actually. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of do a comparison of some of his shots matched up with some of the shots from that season 2 opening credits sequence. So we'll do that and we'll take a look at it. And we're also going to take a look at Rob's comments that were published in a new interview released today by Entertainment Weekly. I guess they're not weekly anymore because they're not even in print anymore. Over at EW.com is where the interview is. And we'll be taking a look at his comments where he talks about this cast, which of course obviously includes a lot of Rob Zombie regulars that we know from a lot of his other films, and also the decision, the shocking decision, to make the feature film in full living color as opposed to black and white. I was kind of hoping it might be black and white, and he actually addresses that in this interview. We're going to get into all of that. I've seen a few comments on our social media posts today and already in the live chat wondering where Marilyn and Eddie are. They're not in the teaser. And yeah, I'm wondering too. But what we do know, and what I reported on in that previous update, is the fact that Rob has confirmed Pat Priest, who played Marilyn, the second actress to play Marilyn Munster. She is confirmed to be in this film, so that's awesome. We don't know 100% that she's definitely playing Marilyn again and how that would work. But I'm definitely open for it and want to see what they've got in store. And they've not officially announced Butch Patrick's involvement yet. But like I said in our last update on this movie, I really would be shocked if he's not going to be in this. It is known that he is good friends with Rob Zombie. They did a feature-length commentary track together for the recent Blu-ray release of the first Munsters film, Munster Go Home. And right after this project was announced, there was video that Rob put on his social media of him taking Butch for a ride in the Munsters coach. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure as soon as he got this gig, the first phone call he made was to Butch Patrick. They're just saving that for some kind of big reveal. And again, just like with Pat Priest, whether he's definitely going to play like some kind of older version of Eddie or a new character, and whether or not they'll have a new young actor playing our new Eddie, none of that we know at this point or has been announced or confirmed in any case at this point. But as far as Marilyn and Eddie, I mean, they're going to be in it. The legacy actors are going to be in it, and I have no doubt that the characters are going to be in it in some way, in some form. And so we're just going to kind of go through it. It's not a real long teaser, and it's literally just that. It is a teaser. And I was hoping, I said before that I was hoping when this was first announced that Rob might go black and white with it. And again, he addresses that in this trailer and in this new interview we'll look at from EW. Somebody on Twitter responded that maybe the teaser would be the opening credits, and I responded to that. That would be perfect for me. I'd love to see that. And it did cross my mind as I started this rewatch binge of those original 70 episodes, that would be a cool first teaser, first look. It would be as if he would actually recreate the opening introductions, opening credits from the original series. And that's exactly what he did, albeit it is the opening sequence from season 2. So this is the first thing we see in Rob's teaser released today. And this is, of course, the Munsters' home on 1313 Mockingbird Lane. And if you'll remember from that previous report, we looked at some photos and I commented on the fact that Rob has been paying so much attention, thankfully, to detail on this series. And again, I trace it back to he is a huge fan. He grew up watching this in syndication like so many of us did, and he has loved this family, this brand, for his whole life. And he says that this is a lifetime achievement to finally be able to do this movie. This is the one he's been chasing his entire career. And so they shot this over in Hungary, where they created their own neighborhood and they built from scratch. And we know this because all the progress was posted throughout social media. They built this brand new recreation of 1313 Mockingbird Lane. And Rob shared those photos on his social media of himself at age 14 when he went to Universal Studios and took the tram tour in Hollywood. And he had a photo from that day in '79 of the Munsters house at that time, and also shared a more recent photo from the set. So here's the first thing we see, quite fittingly. It is a shot, the exterior shot, iconic in itself, and you see it so much in that original series constantly. And so here is the opening shot from the original Season 2 opening credits. This is from episode 1 of Season 2 of the original 1960s The Munsters. That episode was called Herman's Child Psychology, by the way. So, I mean, right away you can see that he pretty much nailed it with the look of 1313 Mockingbird Lane. I mean, you guys tell me what differences you can spot. I mean, the tree, that's very prominent in the first. Well, I'm only in the first half of my first season in my rewatch right now, but you see that tree on the right very prominently in all the exterior shots on the original show. So prominently sometimes I'm almost like, did they want to obstruct your view of the house quite that much? But I always took it that it was just another aspect of just the overgrown, creepy nature of the yard, and it is sort of a twisted, weird-looking tree. So here on Rob's, you can see, maybe this is a few years later because that tree is definitely there, but it's not obstructing that view nearly as much this time. Probably, very possibly, just because they want to show off this beautiful recreation a little bit more. And I love that the first image and all of these first images we do see are in black and white. I think that's very smart for a number of reasons. I mean, one is going to be that they're going to it's going to immediately tap into people's memory of the classic show. And then, of course, the other is it does show Rob's attention to detail and to his wanting to capture the same vibes and atmosphere as the original show, as much as possible anyway, for a 2022 audience. But yeah, you've got the weather vanes up there. You've got the peaked tops there. All the again, the yard still looks very viney and overgrown, and fittingly creepy. And right down to the smoke coming out of the chimney. You see it there in the original shot, and you see it prominently right there in this first shot from today's teaser. And we're not going to play the music here because we don't want to get hit with a copyright violation, but it is playing the classic theme from the opening of the TV series. And then a little splash of color, quite literally there. A Rob Zombie film comes up in a very familiar font. Um, we can see here. There's the title treatment on the original opening credits. And here comes the new version. The fonts match up, and a little bit of splash of color to start warming us up to the idea that that's going to be the biggest difference in this version, is that it will be in bright living color. And again, we'll address some of those decisions a little bit more in this breakdown. And here is our first official shot of our new Herman Munster in action. He is played by Jeff Daniel Phillips. Halloween fans know Jeff from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. He actually played 2 roles in that film. Might be the only actor to ever play multiple roles in a single. Nope, that's not true. Dick Warlock did that in Halloween 2. So never mind. But he is one of the few that have played more than one role in the Halloween franchise. And he is, of course, a Rob Zombie film regular. He starred in Rob's 31 and many other films. He was in 3 from Hell, Lords of Salem. And many of you may remember seeing Jeff, as I do, on TV for many years as the caveman in the Geico ads. All right, so Herman comes busting through the front door, out the front door, leaving his iconic silhouette crashed through behind him. And here's the original version of that. There's the great Fred Gwynn, and he is so awesome. Again, my rewatch of these episodes have just reminded me what a comedic genius Fred really was in these episodes. I mean, they're all awesome in the old episodes, but man, it really was Herman's show in so many ways. And it's interesting because in those original credits in season 1, Herman comes out last, and it ends with starring Fred Gwynn as Herman. Interesting here that he's the first of the family that we see come busting out this time. All right, let's take a look at the Herman's original movements here before he exits screen. All right, some classic Herman there. And now we'll see Jeff's version. Again, he's getting the nervous, shaky movements. The body type looks pretty good. I mean, Jeff looks a little slimmer than Fred, I would think. And it is just kind of weird seeing just anybody else playing this role. It's almost like seeing anybody other than Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster. I mean, they're just so iconic in our brains. But I have a lot of confidence that Jeff is a good choice because he does do well under makeup and in character, and he's a very physical performer. And even as Coffins in Halloween 2, you know, is very kind of physical performance, and of course the caveman work and everything. So you guys let me know what you think though about this look of Herman. How accurate do you think it is? I just do want to point out real quick that in my rewatch, I was reminded that, you know, the very first episode to air was called Munster Masquerade. And while Halloween was never mentioned by name, and it's not exactly explicitly said that they're going to a Halloween party, the family goes to a masquerade party held by one of the first guy we see dating Marilyn in this episode. And so it's pretty interesting that it's kind of qualifies as a Halloween episode, being their very first introduction to the world. One more reason to be celebrating the return of this family. All right. So now go back into let's go back into this trailer breakdown, and we'll see Sherry's entrance as our new Lily Munster. And you watch those movements. It's very, very much right on point with our original entrance here. As you can see, watch this. Looks both ways. And again, as far as the look, it's always going to look just a little bit weird seeing anybody else in these roles, even in the other films, the made-for-TV films that were released over the years. And they had when they would have different actors playing the iconic roles, it always is a bit jarring at first. We'll know a little bit more when we can kind of hear their voices, I think, and see a little more action. But I mean, she definitely got the movements down. I love again the attention to making sure that she's doing all of the same gestures that the original Lily does. In the classic, and she's got the same kind of flowy uh, outfit. That streak of white hair is a little more visible here. And can't see for sure if she's wearing the bat necklace, but I wouldn't be surprised if they work that in somewhere. So that's our new Lily Munster. All right, let's meet Grandpa. My friend Daniel Roebuck here taking over the iconic role as the Count. And Daniel explained his excitement on social media at getting this role, being a lifelong fan of the genre and of the Universal Monsters and of the original show, of course. And he mentioned that in Rob's script, Grandpa is referred to only as the Count. And again, in my rewatch, that sure enough, in the very first episode, that Monsters Masquerade, episode 1, season 1. The first time Grandpa is ever introduced, Lily introduces him. She says, "This is my father, the Count," and he's introduced as that throughout the series as well. So here is Daniel as the Count with his shovel, his graveyard shovel. Let's take a look at Al Lewis's original entrance. Still carrying the shovel, does the little stumble, and then kind of happy, kind of a look back. Daniel doesn't quite do the look back. More with the cold smoke. I think it might have just been really cold out there that night, possibly. I mean, I'm so glad that they did recreate this, because if you're going to go through all the trouble to recreate the house and all these sets, why not take the opportunity and try to match up some of the scenes exact? Not that I expect the movie to do a lot of that, but I do expect a ton of Easter eggs, which is why I'm rewatching those original 70 episodes, because I do expect a lot of love and Easter eggs and callbacks. And there he goes. So as far as the look, kind of a new look, a little more facial hair there on the Count this time, but he's still got his medallion, which I noticed in the rewatch. He's always wearing that Dracula medallion. Obviously, it wouldn't be the Count without the giant long black cape, so you got to have that. but he looks pretty good. And again, I mean, if you're not familiar with Daniel Roebuck's work, I mean, look him up. I guarantee you, he's appeared in something you've seen, and you probably didn't even realize it was him. He's been in almost all of Rob's movies, and he's always great in them, even in the smaller roles. Sometimes it might just be a really small but memorable role. If any of you guys are fans of Rob Zombie's 31, which, sorry, but I consider it a very underrated Halloween horror movie. The opening scene, Richard Brake and Daniel are both just so great in that. And here in just a second, we'll see the biggest alteration that's going to be made in this feature film version as opposed to this original version. But let's continue with the teaser here. And again, that same font popping up in a bright fluorescent green to fit that slimy font. Now, of course, the original included Pat Priest, which again, we know Pat Priest is in this film. I kind of did expect her to come out after Grandpa there. She has been announced, so that might have been a missed opportunity here, but I kind of feel like they want to kind of hold off on a bigger reveal as far as who Pat and again, I am assuming, I'm going out on a limb and saying that Butch is in this. I'd be more shocked if he's not. But I think they're kind of waiting to make a bigger reveal of their involvement, even though Rob has laid the rumors to rest as far as Pat Priest on social media and said that she is in it. Now, if she's not playing Marilyn, and if Butch, in fact, is not playing Eddie, I think, again, that could lead to some really exciting reveals as far as maybe these are some performers that we might know from other projects. Or if they are reprising these characters, that opens up even more possibilities of how this story could take place with older versions of them. Maybe that's even the framing device that they use here. That it's Pat and Butch as Marilyn and Eddie kind of reminiscing about one of the family's adventures or something. Who knows? But the original does include these two, of course. The original credits does include these two, and there's Eddie. He gets the final shot there. All right, so back to Rob's teaser. We get the title treatment, the fluorescent green slime. All new movie coming 2022, now in living color. And this part, I'll turn the volume up and we can listen to this last bit of the teaser.
Well, now what?
Now, let's go over to this interview that Rob did with Entertainment Weekly. It was published today with the release of this first look. And first up, confirming what we had always hoped, what I had hoped anyway, because again, I said in our last video, I was surprised at how many people immediately went into this assumption that this was going to be like some typical Rob Zombie R-rated movie where it's going to be like Otis Firefly version of Herman Munster. And I never assumed that. In fact, I always assumed the opposite. That no, if anything, Rob is gonna be have such an old school approach with this. And so I was very happy when it was confirmed a few months back that the film is in fact rated PG and will retain that family friendly tone. But Rob spoke on that today, confirming what we had always hoped, that the new movie will, in fact, retain the family-friendly tone of the original TV series. Zombie tells EW, quote, yeah, it's 100% in the spirit of the show. I didn't want it to be different. I wanted it to totally retain the vibe that it had in the 60s, end quote. And I love that. That makes me feel very happy about this. And that coupled with all the attention to detail that I've seen, again, I just feel like this is a perfect marriage of filmmaker and iconic franchise. On his cast, Zombie says, quote, I wanted to cast people that had worked together a lot. I couldn't risk getting on set in Budapest and going, my leads aren't getting along. They have no chemistry. So that's why I chose the cast I chose. Jeff Daniel Phillips and Sherry Moon Zombie and Daniel Roebuck. They worked together a lot, and I knew they would just fall right into it. And end quote. And again, I totally get that. I mean, all of the best directors, all of my favorite directors, they have their favorite people that they work with, whether it's behind the camera or in front of the camera, for these reasons. Because when you have a project, when so much is riding on it, and you have so much you have to do to get done and to execute your vision, yeah, you really don't want to have to worry that this and that may not work. Um, like he said, these three have worked together in his films many times. They do have good chemistry. I do think Jeff and Sherry had great chemistry in 31, as well as in Lords of Salem. And again, I mean, I'm a huge Daniel Roebuck fan. I mean, if you didn't see him play Jay Leno back in the day in the HBO series about Leno and Letterman, I mean, go look that up. I mean, he's in so much good stuff. Huge fan of his. So he's going to knock it out of the park no matter what. But I totally get this, and I know a lot of people always, tend to say, "Oh, well, why is he always got to cast his wife in the lead of everything? Why is he got to cast his wife and everything?" And you know, I don't know. I tend to look at it a little bit differently. Is maybe he married somebody that is actually his creative muse. You know what I mean? Maybe she is his ideal baby Firefly and Mother Myers and Lily Munster. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe he is lucky enough to have found his soulmate. I know that's how it feels with working with my wife. We have a business partnership and of course our life, our soulmate partnership. So I kind of look at it like that is maybe he found the perfect person to be with, and that's why she is in his stuff, not just because they're married. Maybe he married the person that he could see in every role, in every scenario that he could ever imagine. So there's that. But you guys, let me know what you think. Um, in the same interview with EW, Rob does address what is definitely the biggest difference, or at least the biggest difference revealed in this teaser from of the film from the series, that this new version will bring the monsters into this vibrant living color. And there have been other color versions, the other feature films that did not play theatrical. Only the first feature film, Monster Go Home, did play in theaters. The other three so far were made for TV and aired only on TV. But they were in color. So here's what Rob says. He explains, quote, I knew that if I went in and demanded this movie's going to be in black and white or forget it, we would not be talking about the monsters right now because it would have never happened. I guarantee it. But what I did do is I made the colors sort of hyper real. I noticed when the actors were in their makeup and they were just walking around getting lunch or whatever, they looked like cartoon characters come to life. They were just so insanely colorful. I was like, I have to like the movie in the same fashion. It really seemed at all times like a live action cartoon, which was really exciting. End quote. And it is coming this fall. That's something else that I can confirm. The film is to be released in the fall of 2022. A official release date has not been announced yet. I also received some clarification today. I can tell you that it is not going to Peacock. It is not going to be a Peacock exclusive like was rumored early on when this was announced. From almost the beginning, we were hearing unconfirmed rumors that because this is a Universal property, it might go straight to streaming and be an exclusive on the Peacock streaming platform. But I was informed today that that is not the case. It is not going to be exclusive to Peacock. In fact, it's not going to Peacock at all, at least not on its release. from what I understand, it will not be going to any one streaming platform exclusively like HBO Max, Netflix, or Peacock, but instead it's going to be released as a premium VOD digital release sometime this fall. Again, that's what I understand as of today, as of now, as of this live report. Um, that's what I understand is happening, and we should be getting confirmation as far as the date very soon. I would imagine with this teaser that the marketing is obviously picking up, and now here we are, in June, almost mid-June already, and that means the fall season is literally knocking on the door. So again, I think it's really cool that this franchise is back. I think it's actually cool that the Adams and the Munsters are back at the same time this fall for the Halloween season. I mean, what better time? And again, I don't know if Halloween itself, the holiday, what type of role it might play in this movie or not. But I mean, you look at Rob's filmography, even outside of the two Halloween franchise movies he directed. He also made 31 set on Halloween, and even 3 from Hell is takes place on Halloween and the days right after. And of course, his first feature film, House of a Thousand Corpses, is one of my absolute favorite Halloween movies. So more of his movies have been set on and around October 31st than have not. And again, with a brand like this, with it releasing in the fall, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of scene, maybe even a throwback to that original Monsters Masquerade episode where the family goes to a Halloween costume party. It's a great episode. It's got some really funny stuff, and it's also kind of meta, especially considering for 1964, because you actually have one of the host of the party. His costume is as the Frankenstein monster. So essentially, he looks like Herman. And then Herman comes as a medieval knight, and everybody loves this giant medieval knight. He takes off his helmet at the end, and everybody's mind's blown because, oh, he's got another costume on underneath. But it's a pretty meta moment for Herman, this show's version of the Frankenstein monster, to be seeing the Frankenstein monster in pop culture in 1964 as a Halloween costume. It's pretty wild. And again, they don't even mention the holiday by name in that episode, but it's pretty much a given. I mean, when else do people have costume parties and masquerade parties? So there is absolutely some history tied in there together. Not just the fact that their whole vibe and aesthetic lends itself to the holiday. They are Halloween every day, in essence, already, like the Adams are, and just like we are, and just like you guys are, that have joined me here today. So that's my breakdown. Again, I'd love to hear from all of you watching this, what you think of this teaser, of this official image, of these new comments from Rob Zombie. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below, and tell me if you're looking forward to this movie, if you're going to be watching it this fall, or if you're just going to be sitting it out. Either way, I'd love to hear from you, and be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of our ongoing updates on this and everything else we got coming right here to the HDN channel. Lots of cool stuff, exclusive interviews, exciting reveals, all kinds of stuff going on this time of year. So you're not going to want to miss any of that. I'm Matt Arts for Halloween Daily News. Thank you for watching.